Well, normally the summer transfer chatter in the Championship in terms of new teams revolves around those who are coming down from the Premier League into the Championship. Bit different this season as there's plenty of attention on the three teams coming up from League One. I have just filmed a full Championship transfer update looking at every team in the division, but here is a clip where we focus on the three from League One: Birmingham, Wrexham, and don't forget, Charlton. Speaking of going for it aggressively, let's talk about Birmingham and Wrexham. And Charlton as well. Let's not miss Charlton out there, our promoted teams from League One. And let's be quite frank, and this is not just me going YouTubey, I do feel like this is the case. We're expecting fireworks from Birmingham and Wrexham, aren't we? I'm sitting here rubbing my hands going, what are they going to do? Now, I don't want to contradict myself because I did appear on the excellent Keep Right On podcast with Brian and Alex. And I said the smartest thing that Birmingham can do is ride out as much they can the 111 points, the brilliant season, the momentum, the pattern of play, and the work they did last season. But that does not mean they cannot be aggressive in the transfer market. And it doesn't mean they can't be aggressive in August and July in the transfer market. And I use the example of Amari Hutchinson from Ipswich, where they got a player in, a kind of elite loan player from Chelsea. And, okay, he was dripped in very carefully during the year. At the end of the season, he was Ipswich's best player, and he was a regular starter for the last 10, 15 games. And then Ipswich dropped the money, 18, 20 million or whatever it was, at the end of the season upon promotion. It's very presumptuous that Birmingham are on the same rough route as Ipswich are. They certainly outperformed Ipswich and everybody else in history in League One. So I'd love to see Birmingham do something clever. And if they've got money to spend, let's see it go into one really good player and maybe one really good loan signing that gives them an option to buy it if they do get promoted, or they do have a good season and maybe they're in the Championship again and they can drop the money. But do I expect fireworks like we saw last summer at Birmingham? No, and nor should they, and probably nor can they, because obviously the PSR rules are now different in terms of owner investment. You can do a bit more in League One, whereas you've got the hard caps, haven't you? So I think fireworks at Birmingham could look like, you know, one nice chunky signing, a really good loan signing or two, and then maybe a smattering. And look, the likes of Oxford and Pompey and QPR and Sheffield Wednesday would love to be able to just bring in 3 or 4 players for $750,000, $1 million a free transfer. Birmingham can do all of that, but they must not disrupt the 111-point team that is coming up. And a lot of what they need is already there. It says Phil Neumann free transfer, that's just completing. Gardner Hickman, that's completing. And Samstead as well. I think they were all already there. So that's just spending money to keep your team as good as it was last year. Ramel Donovan out to Brentford. There you go. They banked some money as well. Lukas Jutkovic retired. By the way, what a servant he has been. I would have loved Ipswich to sign him when they sold Daryl Murphy and Mick McCarthy was the manager. Different times. Let's talk about Wrexham, who are actually off and running. And I love the first big signing that Wrexham have made. Ryan Hardy. What a perfect signing that is. Obviously, Plymouth got relegated, but up and down the league, let me say this, all the squads would probably benefit from having a Ryan Hardy around. Hear me out. Even the parachute teams, if it was going to be, this says €825,000, even if it was squad depth, this guy scores goals at Championship level, and he can do that really hard job where a striker is on the pitch, they might be up front on their own, and they've got to run, and set the tempo and set the press from a defensive point of view for their team. And Ryan Hardy, not only been a good goal scorer, has been very, very good at that. We've spoken a lot already about Wrexham's style of play, and are they going to stick with pragmatism, a really good defensive record, And if it is Ryan Hardy needs to run the channels before he scores any goals, then that is just a really, really good signing. Some players out. Some big names actually out of Wrexham. Foster Hall, Adam Davies, Stephen Fletcher, age 38, Mark Howard, Paul Mullin, who has been a bit of a poster boy, hasn't he, for the Wrexham journey. He was the guy that got them, scored the goals to get them, from National League through to League One last season. Wasn't relied on really. They've got Sam Smith there, and they've now added Ryan Hardy. But let's be fair, within the scope of PSR, we are expecting fireworks from Wrexham. And this is where I don't feel the same as I feel about Birmingham. I think they should go for it. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if we do 6, 7, 8 players who've all got ideas on getting into the first team and squad build. And yeah, they're gonna make a loss, haven't they? And I just don't see them selling anybody. I know Cleworth is probably the sellable asset there, but no, I think Wrexham will make a significant investment and try and build themselves a team to, start challenging in the Championship. And it will be exciting, as it's been for Wrexham over 4 or 5 years now. Finally, Charlton Athletic, who are going to be the poor relations in terms of the Championship promoted teams, but got a good manager, Charlton, who knows the level. Got a bit of momentum, haven't they? Cherry Small going out. That's probably a bit annoying, isn't it? Chuck Sanike, Dean Brazanis, Danny Hilton. It's a Nathan Jones classic. Tenai Watson, Aaron Henry. So they cleared out a bit in terms of squad. Sonny Carey in on a free. That's a good sign-in. And he scored 11 goals or something for Blackpool in League One last season. And, right, let me try and say this in the nicest way. Nathan Jones is the type of manager where you can take League One players, and because what he does is quite extreme in terms of the running, the pressing, they can, like Luton did, be the sum of their parts and rise up the division without necessarily the need. Because I can see what people are going to say, and I think they might do a few more like that, where they go back to League One and try and take the best players they played against last season. And I can see people make the argument, yeah, Ben, that's a good League One team, literally. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I get it. But with this manager and with what they'll do with the running data and the pressing, that can make the difference. So I don't expect Charlton to be... I mean, who are Charlton going to be competing in terms of signings with? Is it probably Oxford and Pompey and Preston? Sheffield Wednesday under embargo and can only do frees. I think it's those teams really, isn't it? There's going to be a little battle where teams are going to be looking at League One. Championship experience on loans and frees and doing whatever they can do with fees into the bargain. But Nathan Jones is a difference maker there.